Mine says 1. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Always a pleasure to hear from the audience. Are we going to go ahead and start? All right. Thank you, Mr. Duncan. All right. I'd like to go ahead and call this first committee meeting of Finance and Policy for the new year, 2024. January 2nd is the date. The time is 5:59 and 38 seconds. So we're good to go at the 6 o'clock start time. Members present are myself as chairperson, Michael Reynolds, Mr. Taft Matney, and our chairperson, Miss Carol King as our other member on this committee. First item is call to order. Second is public comment. Any public comment for this committee tonight? Hearing and seeing none. I have reading and approval of minutes for the Finance Committee meeting dated November 6, 2023.
I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, since this is my first time as a member of the committee, I will hold off on voting on the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Matney.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from November the 6th, 2023 as submitted.
Thank you, Ms. King. I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted. I'll second the motion since Mr. Matney is recusing himself. Excuse me. Any further discussion? What do I hear on the reading and approval of the minutes? I'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Ms. King. That would be 2-0 for reading and approval of minutes of November 2nd with Mr. Matney recusing himself. Next item is going to be reports and communications from city officers. Mr. Seth Duncan, you're.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate committee members being here tonight. Just a couple quick items for the committee and for other council members who are listening. They're here or at home? No, in the audience. Hometown Legislative Action Day is going to be Tuesday, February 6th. That's a municipal association organized event with MEO. That's the Municipal Elected Officials Institute, commencing the 7th. So if you hadn't had a chance to speak with Ms. Miller about your ability to attend or not attend, please do so. We just want to make sure we got everybody squared away prior to the deadline for the registration. And there will be an event that evening with our delegation in coordination with our sister cities in Greenville County. So we're excited about that. The second thing, also just for those who wish to attend either live or in person or via Zoom, our council meeting this month is being moved to Tuesday instead of on MLK holiday per our standard practice. And Miss Holly Abercrombie is not with us tonight. She's still on vacation. But if she were here, I'll do her report. We are about to receive our first set of property tax revenue. So as that comes in, that's when we'll start seeing our budget projections becoming budget realities. And so we should be seeing that we should get a big chunk in January and then smaller chunks in February and March. And then we'll get late taxes, and then business license will also start coming in into the first quarters into the second quarter of the calendar year. And that's my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. As you heard, he covered Ms. Abercrombie as well. Do we have any questions for Mr. Duncan for his report, or Ms. Abercrombie, who he'll answer for? Hearing none. Next item is going to be Mr. Mark Putnam, our HR Director.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Just wanted to kind of recap what Human Resource was able to do with this committee last year. If you remember, we had the comp and class study. We were able to implement that early because of this committee and council, and we really appreciate that. We added Juneteenth to the holiday schedule. And then we did the Fair Labor Standard Act overtime policy, got that implemented. And that was a big deal for us. And it's really sort of falling into place now. And we did all of that along with the benefits, negotiation, with the yearly evals and then open enrollment. So, what we've got planned, especially for the first quarter, of 2024 is that we're going to take a look, sort of dust off the employee handbook. Believe it or not, I'm looking at, council, member, Ms. King. It's been over 4 years now since we did that. And it's time we just take a look at it and just make sure the wording is still where it needs to be and take a look at it. And any changes we're looking at, we'll of course bring straight to committee, but that's something we want to really take a look at the first part of the 2024. So.
Thank you, Mr. Putnam. Any questions for Mr.? Yes, Ms. King.
Surprise. Thank you, Mr. Putman, for bringing that up from 4 years ago. I know we worked diligently for, it seems like 4 years to get to that point. So we definitely need to take another glance at that again. So I look forward to diving back into that with you and the rest of the committee. So thank you for everything you've done and Happy New Year.
No, same here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Putnam. Thank you, Ms. King. All right, next item is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business. Item after that is going to be new business. There's no new business either. So we've got another item here for public comment. If anyone wishes to address this committee, that would be appropriate. Hearing and seeing none. Committee concerns? I'm glad to have you both on this committee. It's a great committee. It was great with Ms. Kuznar, and I'm glad to bring Mr. Matney on board as well. So love the relationship and look forward to what we can do over the next couple of years. What do I hear on adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 We are officially adjourned. The next committee meeting is going to be Building and Codes Committee. Right into the hopper.
At least you weren't first.
That's right.
I was my first time. Yes.
Really?
It was not fun.
Upon reflection this morning, I should have made him last.
Yeah.
Last swearing in, but then maybe. All right, it's 6:06. January 2nd, 2024, calling to order. Building it. Codes Committee. Present tonight are Mr. Matney, Mike Allgood, Administrator Seth Duncan, Deerhawk. Well, next item on the agenda is public comment. We are reading and approval of the minutes for November 6th meeting.
I would make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have reports from
Evening, Chairman and committee members. Happy New Year. I would like to give you a couple updates on things tonight. First off is to let you know that the city has entered into agreement with Benchmark Planning to undertake the comprehensive plan and strategic plan for the city of Mauldin. In compliance with our procurement policy, our department issued an RFP back in September for the development of the comprehensive plan of the city. We had 8 teams who submitted proposals. We had a selection team go through and review those responses and score them. And in that process, Benchmark Planning came out as our top score and represented the lowest responsible bidder. We're excited that we'll be able to do that project well within the budget that was set by City Council and are about to undertake that. In August, the council approved an appropriation of some surplus funds to go towards the development of a strategic plan. During the process, while we were evaluating the comprehensive plan proposals, our staff recognized that some of the tasks, including public engagement and visioning exercises for the comprehensive plan, would coincide with the tasks associated with the strategic plan. Because there appeared to be overlap in these tasks, staff expected to be able to achieve potential cost savings by using the same company to develop both the comprehensive plan and the strategic plan. When it became apparent that Benchmark Planning received the strongest evaluation score and was the lowest responsible bidder for the comprehensive plan, staff entered into discussions with Benchmark about the opportunity to also develop a strategic plan for the city. Benchmark confirmed that there was overlap among the tasks of the two projects and indicated they could realize some cost savings by working on both projects together instead of the city doing them independently. At the request of city staff, Benchmark submitted a bid for that project, which come in well under budget for that project. So I wanted to give you the update that we are moving forward with Benchmark Planning and look forward to undertaking all the exercises and activities that will be involved with establish a new comprehensive plan and strategic plan for the city of Mauldin. We'll update you as we go with that project. Also, some of the committee members who have been on this committee are familiar that we have talked previously about a new ordinance for food trucks. We are finishing up the draft of that ordinance and expect that the Planning Commission will review that later this month. So we expect that if that goes through the Planning Commission, we'll be back here next month to discuss a draft ordinance relating to food trucks as well as temporary uses. And then finally, just want to make you aware that the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting is meeting next Monday evening, January 8th. They are reviewing a request to allow by special exception a charter school in the Brookfield Office Park. So that meeting will be Monday at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. That's the report I have for you tonight. If there's any questions, I'm certainly glad to answer those for you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. You said there were 8 that submitted bids. Out of curiosity, out of the 8, how many were within our budget? How many were outside of the budget?
3 were within budget and 5 were out.
And there was not an actual solicitation for a strategic plan. You just went straight to Benchmark and were able
Yeah,
to-
we were able to essentially cut that cost in half for the strategic plan by using the same company we selected for the comprehensive plan.
That's all questions I have.
Finished business, we have none. New business, we have the drive-through standards in the Central Redevelopment District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me give you a little background first. So in December 2022, the city adopted standards that amended essentially the standards in our Central Redevelopment District. They prohibited the establishment of new drive-through facilities in the Central Redevelopment District, which we commonly refer to as our city center. The city's recently been approached by Pintail Properties about inquiring about an amendment to the city's zoning ordinance that would provide some allowance for new drive-through facilities in the Central Redevelopment District. They have a potential coffee shop client, Summer Moon, who's interested in moving into the vacant suite that's at 110 North Main Street. This is the building that was formerly occupied by BB&T, now is partly occupied by Mauldin Vet Station Clinic, and there is another portion of that building that is still available. And so Summer Moon has indicated that their interest in that open space and has also commented on the importance of drive-through operations to the success of their business. So what we brought for you tonight is to gauge if there is interest in the city or in this committee as well as city council to amend the ordinance to allow at least some level allow drive-through facilities in the Central Redevelopment District. There's 2 drawings that were included in your packet. This first drawing was submitted to us through Pintail, which represents how the drive-through facility would affect or not affect the vision for the city center as it's been most recently envisioned, especially as it relates to Jenkins Court. If I'm orienting you, the north is the left side of the map, and that's where Jenkins Street is located. The bottom of this map is our Main Street 276. On the right side of the map is East Butler Road. And then so you can see, hopefully you can follow along with me, that in the middle of this block, you can see Jenkins Court kind of cutting across and then curving up. Mr. Duncan, if you'll hover the mouse to the BB&T building that's now Mauldin Vet Station. So where he's circling is the building we're talking about right now. And it may be a little hard to see on this, but the drive-through that they would propose basically would come out off of Main Street, curl around the building, and exit back onto Main Street. So they are designing this in a way that would really minimally interact with the Jenkins Court that the city has so far envisioned to be developed through the city center project. The next drawing, if you'll pull that up, Mr. Duncan, just gives a little bit more closer in look to how that drive-through would be designed. And bear in mind, this drawing here is a intermediate plan that shows how the site would be designed before the city extends Jenkins Court down into this area. But again, the drive-through wraps around the building, coming in from Main Street and exiting back out to Main Street. And we have with us tonight Mr. Stuart Wyeth and Mr. Charles Garcia. And with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn a minute to them, and they can cover any other details that I've missed on what they're requesting.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Wyeth. Chairman, nice to meet you. Hadn't had an opportunity to interact with you before. I'm the owner and project manager of this particular project that we're discussing today. We've been working very hard with the overall community to identify the best potential tenant for this location. And one void that we found is coffee. And when Summer Moon Coffee, which is a new concept to South Carolina, approached us and was interested in the space, our eyes lit up and we got very excited. I don't think I'd be up here so passionate about this project and reconsidering the current restriction for this drive-through if it wasn't for Summer Moon being the subject tenant. Summer Moon Coffee, with me tonight is Charles Garcia, who's the franchise owner of Summer Moon. They have 2 locations currently in the market. One is near downtown Greenville off of Mills Avenue into an existing facility. And the second is right outside Southside Christian. I'm sure many of you have driven by it, along with Taziki's restaurant. What is so wonderful about Summer Moon is the quality of the upfit that they do, the quality of environment. It's a community anchor. I happen to live in downtown Greenville next to their first location on Mills Avenue. And recently I was there at 4 p.m. Getting a decaf coffee, and the entire place was packed with community members having meetings, casual conversations with family, all different ages. And I'm just very excited about this potential prospect for Summer Moon being in this location. So I'm here to answer any questions and talk about our considerations. We've been talking with staff and appreciate their time to help us understand what your hot buttons might be as it relates to this project. One thing I will point out, Chairman, maybe this is for your benefit since you hadn't been a part of previous conversations. We are very intentional about a large patio space in the rear of the building. And the whole purpose there is as Jenkins Court or Jenkins Street comes into the project in the future, is that we would have terrific pedestrian connectivity to this rear anchor being that patio. So we want that space to be lively. We want it to be thoughtful. That was very intentional. So that's what we're here today is to continue the discussion and I'm here to answer any questions and um, Mr. Garcia is here as well, if you'd like to hear a little bit more about the unique story about Summer Moon, how great of a concept it is.
I've got some more questions for Mr. Deerhog.
Sure.
So for clarity, because I want to make sure I'm right, I could be completely wrong. Happens. December 19th, 2022, we adopted the standard or we had this conversation a year ago? Because I don't believe I was on council when this was decided as part of the central business district.
It was when we adopted an amendment to the ordinance that prohibited drive-through facilities. So before that time, we didn't really address drive-through facilities one way or the other. They were typically allowed. You may recall that during the period of the interim city administrator that we had, this came up as a topic of conversation, primarily because as she understood the vision for city center as being a pedestrian focused project and environment, there's naturally a conflict between designing drive-throughs for automobiles and trying to facilitate safe pedestrian areas. And so at that point in time, under her guidance and counsel, the city moved forward with adopting the ordinance that amended the CRD to prohibit drive-through facilities.
And looking at the two images that we have here, just making sure again, because when it's been some time since we've looked at these, right now there is no plan to have. See, I look at the one that's in green, and then I look at this one. You go the one in green. Thank you.
And maybe if you could zoom in on that one.
Okay, now I see it. All right, so there is going to still be a cut through that goes from Jenkins Court out this way alongside. Okay, so it still exists.
The drive-through, if you can kind of follow me here, will, like I said, wrap around the building. Not really going to be directly accessible from Jenkins Court, but the way they have drawn here, you can still access the parking lot for this project through Jenkins Court, but it would not be a natural feeder into the drive-through lane. When you go back and looked at the other site plan, you could see that there actually be two separate lanes coming in off of Main Street. One would be the drive-through and one would be the through lane into the parking area.
And our current restaurant that is Sully Steamers, that is a pickup window and not a formal drive-through, correct?
Correct. Yep. They're a pickup window, Tropical Grill's a drive-through, and Dairy Queen obviously is a drive-through. One of the differences between this and Tropical Grill does struggle sometimes because their drive-through queue is so short that some of the vehicles line up there will back into the road. One of the advantages for the BB&T I'll keep calling it the BB&T building.
That's
I'll
fine.
probably get past that at some point, but one of the advantages of that building is that because of how it's situated a little further back from the road and how the drive-through will wrap around the building, they'll have a much longer queue line. Really could fit up to about almost 20 cars in that queue line from what I've been able to gather.
Is that correct? It's 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this may be something that would be better suited for discussion when there's a motion. But in prohibiting new drive-through facilities, maybe that it's a matter of semantics. But I think that there was a like business that was slated to go there in that spot, if I'm not mistaken, that ended up not going there, and that a similar drive-through type situation was discussed and was given the green light in principle. So if that's the case, do we still consider that as a new drive-through when it is a continuation of a like type business? And I only ask that because, and Mr. Wyeth and I have talked about this a little bit because I told him I would be more than happy to listen to what the proposal was. Because I didn't want to say no without seeing it. And now I have this in front of me. One of the reasons that we said we did not want to have drive-throughs in the CRD is because for our city center village, we wanted to make sure that there was walkability, and drive-throughs inherently would impact the walkability, the pedestrian-friendly nature of the CRD. But as Jenkins Court goes down and then around to then come back out onto East Butler Road, the way that this is situated would not impact the walkability. And since you have drive-throughs on either side, and we've already approved in concept what would have been a drive-through here, I'm really wrestling with it. So I guess, Mr. Deerhog, my question is there anything that I'm not considering as it relates to those factors?
I think everything that you've stated is astute comment. The one question you asked about, there was previously a user you were considering. That discussion was before the ordinance was amended. And I'm not sure if that maybe even probably facilitated that discussion a little bit as the former interim city administrator took a look at it. But it was after that user had kind of fallen out of the picture that I think this came up and became adopted as an ordinance.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for right now, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to point out something on this map. As we all know, City Center Village continues to evolve. Just a couple of things to note is that right here where Maverick Station is, where it meets Butler, that's going to become a right in, right out as part of a Build a Better Butler project. So that's going to definitely eliminate potential opportunities for kind of a cut through. I know cut through is something that I'm hearing some concern about as well. And so when it comes to this back area, this is all still subject to however council wants to envision this road in the end. So this has got all kind of optional back this way, but the drive-through, which was staff's paramount concern, would, if for it to even be possible, would need to make sure it did not impact Jenkins Court and what council's trying to do with this connectivity piece here for our urban village.
I guess one of my questions or concerns or just thoughts too is the mention the lack of coffee, but if memory serves me, there's Dunkin' Donuts right here, there's Starbucks right there, and then we have another coffee shop a little bit further up. So I'm understanding we're making this decision based upon this just being a coffee shop, not thinking past that or what that may end up being long term. So we're making a decision about a design for one particular type of business. Is that correct?
You could look at it that way. Obviously, that's what we're presenting to you as the user that that's being considered in that space right now. You're right. At some point, there may be someone else that may want to move into that space, and depending, it kind of depends on how the ordinance is written. But I would expect that if someone else moved in the space and there was a drive-through established, I would expect them to be able to continue to use that facility.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add to Mr. Beerhawk's comment that really the broader question that the committee is being asked to discuss and to evaluate is, do we allow limited or unlimited, limited, or some variation of drive-throughs in CRD? That's ultimately the question based upon the request.
So that's the case, then we make this decision and then another, you know, like you said, everything's kind of evolving there. So, you know, another business comes in somewhere else in a different phase or whatever, and so we're gonna have to consider every one of these requests.
No, sir, this would be a planning, ordinance, or excuse me, a zoning ordinance change. And so what we're looking, I think, tonight is there enough interest in seeing some draft language of how we could craft something that may allow for something here in this case, but also that broader impact on the CRD, and then what that draft language would do to potentially mitigate, you know, more drive-throughs that would diminish the vision of the city center village, or ones that would allow a a particular opportunity to occur now, but limit them in the future and require additional oversight if consideration is
So looks like the principal thing is you're looking for discussion on this item and just kind of get feedback from us. The more that I look at this particular plan, which is futuristic, right? There's things in here that don't exist, that could exist. It actually makes me more worrisome for drive-through possibilities if we were to then open it up universally. My original take is limiting it to Main Street. If you have a business that feeds into Main Street, it could be open to that. And we do know that, obviously, I believe based on the examples that you've given from, I'm sorry, what was the name of it? Summer Coffee? Summer Moon, that serves coffee. All of their projects have been taking on existing buildings currently. There hasn't been like a new build that they have done. It is a new construction. That's right. There was a gas station there before, wasn't it? Okay. So we know that they could go across the street. You got your Taco Bell that's coming back, right? So
There's good pizzas for everybody.
that's right. So there is opportunity still for drive-throughs, and you made good points. There's a very other coffee places that are very nearby that just aren't in the central business district. So that's my 2 cents. If anyone else wants to weigh in, but I think if we were to look at adding drive-throughs in here, I think it needs to be limited to specifically North Main and not Butler, but specifically North Main. That would be my take.
Mr. Chairman, something that we could do, it doesn't require a formal action by the committee, is we can work on some draft language and bring it back in February. That gives you time to marinate on what was said tonight, think about it. Obviously, the other council members and the mayor present may, kind of weigh in on that privately as well. But to do something similar to what Mr. Allgood said was draft some language that, how do we maybe essentially take advantage of an opportunity we have before us, but also give us some safeguards from just something coming in and altering the vision that the council has for city center.
And I think, to me, that sounds reasonable. I mean, my concern is you don't want to take away an opportunity for, a unique business like this, but at the same time, we sell our souls for either. So it seems so I don't actually need.
No, sir, we don't need an action item on that. We can do that at the staff level and bring it back next month. Thanks, sir.
That's it on the new business then? We're good there? We have the public comment opportunity again. Sure.
Those who don't know, I'm not part of this committee, so I couldn't speak before. I'm Jason Kraling, 234 Devon Drive, Mauldin, South Carolina, 29662. On this particular issue that was just before us in the coffee house, originally when the BB&T was looked to be, if memory serves me correct, when we were looking at having that redone, there was a coffee house discussed. And that's actually how we found out that we did not already have a code against drive-throughs, if I remember correctly. And that's what prompted this. However, at the time, I know the business plan, we said, okay, we would let that stay because that was the plan for the business who was remodeling that facility. So personally would be open to another facility similar to what was discussed because that was okay. I would want to make sure whatever door is open is closed after that. Because I don't want this to be drive-throughs. That was the reason we put that in place. Okay. But in fairness, that was a consideration when it was being remodeled. And I'd be willing to listen to it. I'd also like to know traffic, a lot of questions to be answered, and have a lot of control over that. But that was how I remember it, and that's how I would feel brought to full council. So on that, thank you.
Sir. Comment? Committee concerns?
Did a good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen, both for allowing me to muddle through there, and I appreciate it, and I'm excited to be a part of both the committee and council. So, as far as adjournment goes, it's the pleasure of our committee.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
It's 35.
All right, we will bring the Recreation Committee to order. It is 6:36. All members of the committee are here, as well as our Recreation Director, Bart Cumlander. First up is public comment number 1. Do we have any in person or online? Okay, Mr. Reynolds would like me to name the committee members, so I will do that. I am here, Mr. Allgood, Mr. Stenbeck, and Mr. Reynolds are all present.
Right side.
All right side. Hey, that's right. Hey, look at that. Look at that. All right, we have reading and approval of the minutes. What is the pleasure of this committee?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. We approve the minutes as submitted.
I have a motion for approval of the minutes. Do I hear a second? Here's a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Aye. All right. Up next, we have reports from our Recreation Director.
Thank you, Mr. Allgood. Welcome, Mr. Steenback. I'm going to miss Taft being on there because I think he's been on there since he started on council. So welcome. Couple things going on in the rec department right now. We are starting signups for baseball. That will go in the month of January. All sports, baseball, softball, flag football. Lacrosse will be starting as well. Lacrosse will be starting in the month of February. This year, we are not going to be able to, we're not going to be, all kids are going to be furnishing their own helmets just for safety reasons and just for the cost of those are going back or going up tremendously. It's a challenge getting that stuff back each year from those parents. So this year, we're going to just not do that this year and see how that goes. And usually your lacrosse helmets last 2 years. And they do not recondition lacrosse helmets. They recondition football helmets. They don't do anything on lacrosse. Couple other things we've got going on. We're at the senior center. We're in the midst of getting prices up for some of the money that we got from the state. Actually, they started painting today. They're going to start the flooring the end of the month, the upstairs. Couple other things we're getting prices on, the new doors that's going into the senior center are original. That building was built in 1981, and then the second part of that building was built in the late 80s, 89, 90 is when that opened up. And so the doors are getting used frequently, so we're going to replace those doors. Public Works is also working on the roof, getting prices up on that. It's out for bid on that as well. Also, we're trying to look at getting somebody to resurface the existing basketball court, to put some pickleball courts. The existing court was redone probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. The tree roots busted up, so either we're going to try to cut out that area or take it up completely and redo it again. The tree is gone that created the roots that busted up. We just felt like it may be a safety hazard to continue that. We will continue keeping on the basketball goals down there as well. So that's some of the things that we've got going on. Basketball starts this Thursday. As you know, the kiddos go back to school Thursday, so we start basketball. If you've had kids in our basketball program, you know it gets crazy. And that's in a crazy kind of way. It's just a lot of people. We're utilizing both facilities, the senior center and the sports center, pretty much every night of the week. We're running Monday through Thursday games. Saturday mornings, depends on what age group we have. It could run to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Our facilities at this time of year are open 7 days a week during basketball season, so it's taking all hands on deck. Because that facility's open, we need somebody there, especially at the senior center. Sports center, we can get away. We can cross over the sports center staff to help us out with the youth sports. I'm there a tremendous amount of time. My son plays, so we're there at least 1 or 2 nights a week. And whenever they need a referee, no one shows up, I jump out. Also, we're starting to use scan tags that you see at the sports center. So if you remember at the sports center, come in, you scan your name. We're doing that same at the senior center, just because simple reason, we had a situation with a senior. He was new, and we didn't have all his information. Luckily, his wife was there during the situation. And so now everybody has a scan tag. So when they walk into the senior center, it pops up their name. Staff is told that no one comes in that facility unless we have their emergency contact information. If they're playing cards, it doesn't matter. They have to come by there and scan from the upstairs. If they got a program going on upstairs, it's a scan tag. If it's a program they're doing downstairs, it's a scan tag. You have to scan. So some of them have been respective of that. Some have not. And so we're just trying to get their information and also track the number of people that come in there and how many people are in city and out of city. That's another good tool for us to use. And so those are the type of things that we're working on. The equipment, my phone has been blowing up. When are we getting it? And so we are got about pinned down. It's just a few things. We'll make sure we get it right. For those that are new, that equipment is original in there. That building is roughly 17, 18 years old now. And so it's got the original equipment in there. And so we're looking at replacement. We're just making sure we're doing the right thing and getting the right equipment for the people. And that's why it's kind of taking a little bit longer than normal, just making sure we're getting it right. We've looked at it. The staff has gone and looked at this equipment, and we feel confident that who we're going to pick is going to do a good job for us. And so that's where we're at on that equipment. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Cumlander?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So going back to the equipment, what kind of lead time are you looking at on decision made, equipment in?
Probably in the next 30 days. We're going to, I've talked to the fire chief. We're going to let them have some of that equipment. We're trying to get it all worked out as well, Mr. Reynolds, because we don't want to shut that facility down. So we're going to have to get the existing equipment out of there and put the new in, and we're going to try to do that while the place is open. And so that's what we're working on as well, is logistics, getting all that stuff out of there. and then have either resell it or give some to the, as we said, give some to the fire department for their new facility. If that answers your question.
That was the first question. Thank you. Second question, you mentioned the lacrosse helmets have a 2-year rotation. Will we have any helmets that are left over that are still good?
We will. And I've been talking to the rec director in Simpsonville and just trying to figure out the way to get rid of it. You've got to be careful what you do with that equipment, because if you resell it, you're still on the hook of being liable if someone gets hurt with that. And so we got to be really careful on what to do. It has a sticker on those helmets, and it'll tell you I think we bought some last year, but not as many as we have before. So we got another year in them. And something we could do, and is if somebody's in a dire need and it's a family that's probably needs it, that's something we can think about doing. But I think we really need to get out of that equipment business. I mean, I remember, I guess late 90s, we gave everybody a baseball helmet, 4 baseball helmets in the dugout. Your son plays baseball. Everybody has their own helmet now. And so mamas kind of get a little concerned as how clean is that helmet. And so when you're fitting those kids, there's a little coaching that you have to do to help fit them. So,
Well, I think you're probably going exactly where I was anyway. So given your history with how you care about the kids and care about the program, you're going the direction exactly what my concern was, is if there was equipment left over that is usable and there are families in need, I certainly wouldn't want someone to lose an opportunity to play based on not being able to potentially afford a helmet. I have no idea about lacrosse, what it costs or anything like that, but having a supply of very few or a few families that may not be able to afford it was where I was going with that. And I think you probably were already there. And I should have known that given how much you care about kids and in the program and all those years. But I just wanted to mention that as an opportunity for the unused helmets.
thank you, sir.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I just wanted to reiterate Mr. Reynolds' concern around the helmets too. Sounds like that might be an opportunity to lose out. But at the same time, I certainly appreciate not wanting to be in that game. Also, collecting them out. The tension there. I don't want to see someone miss out.
Yes, sir. And so we've taken up football helmets before, and Yuzu and Taft can tell you this. His son played. Yuzu, if you see the old green van, that's what we used to take up the equipment in. That you knew that was turning in your equipment, and so you have people quit throughout the year or during the season, and it's just hard to get it back. And that's something that we've worked better at as staff to get it back. And it's a challenge, and it's that everywhere. It's just not with Mauldin, it's with Simpsonville. I mean, it's just trying to get that equipment back at the end of the season.
Hard enough time getting back for my kids.
Or keeping up with it with mine.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So appreciate it.
I have just a couple of comments or questions. With regards to lacrosse helmets, if they're furnishing their own, do we have to check in terms of whether or not they're expired or not?
That's something that we're going to have to start doing. Eventually, it may be other sports that we're looking at. Yes, to make sure that the certification, and we're going to be looking more on the umpires on that as well before the game. And that's something the staff can do as well, as check the certification on them, make sure they're legit. I was talking to the rec director this past week, and he said he had a mother during this is football season come out, and she went to Walmart and got a replica football helmet and thought that was okay for them to play. And so you're going to have that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we've got to make sure of the safety as well, not because we're not furnished anymore, but it's still safe for the kids to be in.
You mentioned about we heard about this at the last committee meeting, the resurfacing of the basketball court for pickleball. Just walk me through again, what do we have that's budgeted? Do we have enough to resurface, or do we have enough to completely rip up and replace?
that's something that me and Matthew gonna have to work on. It's something we could probably do in-house, and him ripping that old up and then getting the surface back right.
He puts down his head in the background. I saw that. But it's possible.
It's possible. It's possible. The problem that I'm having right now is getting 3 prices, and people, I meet them and they're not getting me the prices. Is because you got 2 parts there. You got resurfacing it, and then you got somebody coming to paint them. When you say resurfacing, I apologize. I meant paint the lines and make it look good, like we did the Pine Forest basketball court, and then we did Springfield as well. They just came in. The existing court was good, but the court at City, again, we could cut some of it out and make it work, because you're going to be painting it basically. It'll look sharp. The one at Pine Forest looks really sharp. It's just, if we just got to make sure our money is there. That's a challenge. And the challenges is just getting somebody there to give me the price, and you meet them there and then they don't give you the price. And that's my problem. And I'm trying to weed through that. So.
Okay. That's all I have. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. All right. We have no unfinished business. There is no new business. We are now to the second public comment. Do we have anyone online or in attendance? Mr. Matney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's weird being public now after having been on Recreation Committee since 2010 or 2014, excuse me. There are a couple of things that I just want to touch on. Number one, and Mr. Steenback alluded to it, but I'd like to broaden it. I mean, we have some sports that cost more to operate than others. Flag football does not take a big expenditure. Cheerleading does not take a huge expenditure. Even basketball, our expenditures are down. But when you do get into the footballs, when you do get into lacrosse, that are such heavy contact that there's additional equipment that needs to be purchased to ensure player safety, that price tag goes up very quickly. And I want to make sure that no matter what we do, no matter what sport we offer, we are not pricing families out of the ability to play sports in the city of Mauldin. Because the ability to play sports, especially when you get into a team environment, is able to teach these young people things that they may or may not learn at home. They may have role models that are teaching them skills, teaching them personality attributes that they may not otherwise get. And I would hate for any kid in this city to lose out because they can't pay for it. So if we've got somebody that absolutely can't pay for equipment to be able to play, I'd love for us to be able to figure out a way to make it work for that child. The other piece is I want to make sure science is continuing to evolve, especially as it relates to contact sports. And the guidelines in the various governing bodies of contact sports is changing in terms of what equipment needs to be had. USA Lacrosse changes it seemingly every year. I'm not a sports parent anymore, but I remember getting those regs every year and seeing how things change. The shoulder pads, all of a sudden the ones that we had been using for years no longer made fit the bill, because the chest plate had to go down because there was a kid that may have been in Texas that took a ball to the heart, and sadly he lost his life. So because of the science of it, they're continuing to upgrade safety equipment. I want to make sure that we're not offering substandard equipment, that any equipment that we offer is not placing us in a liable situation, and that as the science changes, we're keeping up with it to make sure that our players stay safe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Matney, and I assume Cindy knows your address. Mr. Duncan, in light of what Mr. Matney just said, and what Bart has stated as well, would it be possible to explore, or for lack of a better term, a funding mechanism for this type of situation. Like if we do have kids who do need things, I know you said we will take care of them. We'll figure out a way to take care of them. But maybe there is something that we need to look at to develop a program that serves the underserved in those situations.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I got you covered.
Just examine and look at it. That's all.
And I already have some ideas.
Excellent.
I was brainstorming while you were saying that.
Perfect.
Got some ideas.
Perfect.
We will. Yes, sir.
All right. Any other committee concerns? Hearing none, what do you say on adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
I have adjournment. I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned at 6:54. Up next is public safety.
Okay, I'm gonna call to order. What number are we? Fourth committee meeting of the evening, public safety. I am fortunate to keep both of my committee members with me intact this go around. So we're not all on the left side or the right side, but we're intact. With us this evening, we have Mr. Allgood and Mr. Kraling, as well as our chief of police, our fire chief, and our city clerk, Ms. Dorado. Cindy, it is, I don't think I said the time, 6:55. She's not here. Excellent. The next order on the agenda would be public comment. Do we have any public comment for the Public Safety Committee? Seeing none, hearing none, nothing's online. We'll move on to our reading and approval of the minutes from December 4th, 2023. What is committee's pleasure?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Mr. Allgood, have a motion?
Second.
Second, Mr. Kraling. Any corrections or further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes from December 4th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Motion carries. Brings us to our reports, which is about all we have on the agenda tonight. We got Chief McCollum up first. I hear we're moving, so got some updates.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of committee. Just want to give you a few updates, what happened for the month of October, which was very busy. We've actually done 10 promotions. You may have seen it on Facebook stuff. We had 9 engineers, to let y'all know that's the ones that drive the trucks. Promoted 9 of them, and we actually promoted to John Centrone to fire marshal. And we actually hired Mr. Hall. He's a deputy fire marshal. He started today to fill in for his position, so Centrone's. And we also started the 4896 yesterday.
Which is
And I
not a
asked the
code
crew.
section, by the way.
Yeah, I asked the crew this morning, how's it going? He said, well, let me get off my 48 first and I'll tell you. So, but I'm gonna give you an update on the station. We actually, myself, has moved in and Fire Marshal Centrone. And Lindsay's out right now, so we're gonna get her, as soon as she gets back, we're gonna start moving her stuff in, get admin taken care of first. We are finding some minor issues that we're having to address, and they're getting taken care of. The internet is complete. We've got most of the TVs mounted. The card access company will be out next week, get all that taken care of. So that's where we're at right now. We're still at mid-January, 1st February.
Okay.
We should be.
Good. Sounds exciting. Any questions for Chief McCollum? All right. Keep us posted on that moving
Good.
situation. That's exciting.
We have open ceremony and all that too, so
All right.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next, we have our administrative judge and clerk of court, Mr. Rado. While she's walking up, thank you for swearing some of us in this evening.
You're
We
welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Happy New Year. Just kind of give you a little update with court now that the new year has started. We're getting ready to ramp up again. We had a couple weeks off in the month of December. Our budget right now is we're either at or above our ideal numbers, except for our juror payments, but I'm confident that that'll even out. We had a couple lengthy week back in September, but more prosecutors. The other thing we're working on is we're working on new panic button systems for judicial and here in the court. So we're getting ready to implement those. They're going to be all judicial staff members will have a button. Also here, the judge will have one, and then on either side of the dais. So the clerk side and also the victim side go right to dispatch. The other thing we're working on is getting a new monitor up in judicial so that we can hook up to the security cameras in the hallway. Because as we can see people coming in the front door, we can't see people coming from the side, from the dispatch side, from the back parking lot. So we're working with Osborne to get that. The only other thing we're working on, and should be done in the next 30 days, is we're looking to digitize all the bond forms with a PDF fillable bond form. It's my hope that all the judges will have their own set of bond forms with their signatures on there. So no matter who's on call or who's doing it, all the forms will be the same. So regardless of if someone's looking up information, uniform, they'll know where to look. That's it for now.
All right, any questions? Sure, all good.
Buttons. Where, I'm just curious, was there an incident or is it just looking out for us and saying, you know what, this is something that we need that we don't currently?
Yeah, no incident has happened. You know, sometimes people in court, they're that come to court for whatever reason. You know, we've had a situation where somebody at the window was very upset over, you know, scheduled and didn't really kind of understand in the process, and we have sober to come kind of work on that. So it's just a matter of us kind of just feeling a little bit more secure in there. You know, you always feel like kind of everyone's first contact.
I assume that would be available to the mayor during council meetings too.
It would be, yeah.
Okay,
And to the council members on either side, because they'll sit up there.
that's great. I wouldn't have thought of it. It was a good idea.
Yes, and as always, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you always thinking outside the box and being such a positive influence with our city and working with both our police chief and our chief of fire. It's very evident that you are passionate about your work, and it shows in all the upgrades that you're doing for our city. And as a side note, Mr. Allgood, in my first career, we're in number 2 now, we had those panic buttons. It was a state government where folks tended to that they could also get a little upset. So once again, something else I think we're behind the curve on, but I would have never thought of that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your support. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right, Chief Miller. Oh, there he is. I was looking back there.
Ms. King, Mr. Craylon, Mr. Allgood. We just, this is our last year for cars. We just ordered a batch of cars, so they should be coming in. We got them from a different place this time, so they should be in around the middle of February, March, right in that area. First of all, another thing, I'd like to thank committee and also council for approving the tasers and the body cameras. This past council meeting and the committee meeting, I had the privilege of being at Disney with 2 screaming 2-year-olds, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old that wanted everything. So, but no, we appreciate all the support that council has given us, and also moving forward with the police department in the future. I'll piggyback off of what Bart said. We got basketball games coming, so it's going to get crazy. So we've gotten with Bart and Willie coordinated. We're going to provide security for all the basketball games we'll have an officer at the big gym, and then the one at the senior center. There, as far as I know right now, I looked at the app earlier, there may be 1 or 2 jobs that are still available. City jobs, side jobs, those are mandatory. So if they don't get covered, somebody will, but
for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of them, so they've all been covered. The metal detectors, y'all know, it's been down. We've had some issues with it, so we finally got the fix for it, and so it will be fixed in the next week or two. Also, as you all know, we recently had a critical incident. I'd like to acknowledge SLID for assisting us, and also the sheriff's office and other local police chiefs. Before most people were out of bed, they were already calling me, offering assistance for anything. So once again, we appreciate y'all's support, and we're looking forward for the next year.
All right, any questions for Chief Miller? Other than you're not allowed to go on vacation, remember?
Yes, yes.
Or you need to keep it top secret so no one knows,
Yeah.
except for Mr. Duncan. For those of you who do not know, it seems like everything falls apart the week that Chief is gone. So not falls apart, but a lot of excitement happens. We'll leave it at that.
Next year, that's a cruise, and I've turned down the internet package. It's all on Captain Clardy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, that takes us to unfinished business, which we have none. New business, there's none for this month of January. So we're back around to the second opportunity for public comment. Anyone in council? No, sir, this is public safety. Thank you. All right, seeing no one for public comment, that takes us to committee concerns. All right, seeing none, what do we have on adjournment?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Stand adjourned at 7:05. ED.
And calling EPD to order at 7:05, in tradition for the evening, introducing our committee members for the next 2 years. I'm Taft Matney, your cruise director, and joining me are Mark Steenbeck and Jason Kraling. Everybody else is here who should be, so that's going to go ahead and move us on into our public comment period. Crickets. All right. What do I hear on reading and approval of minutes?
Approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved as submitted. Reports, communications from city officers. J.R. Charles. He's not here. However, he's got a great stand-in in Mr. Duncan.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So just gonna run through those updates real quick. Really, the big one is, as you may recall, council approved in this year's budget an amount of $325,000 for security and safety improvements of the Mauldin Cultural Center, and so with that, it was kind of understood that we would be making certain improvements, but we wanted to come back before the committee and to let everyone know what our plan is and how we're going to be able to move forward with that capital expenditure. So what we've done is we've looked at the critical needs of the facility and some of the things that we hear from both our tenants, our visitors, and then of course council members have expressed their desires and interests as well. And so we've planned to prioritize electrical upgrades, interior, exterior, door security, and exterior lighting and front step removal install in the FY24 budget. We have some other items that we're going to kind of go through these as the budget allows, focusing on the electrical upgrades first and then kind of prioritizing as there's still remaining funds. But other things that we hope to get to, and if we don't, we will save them for the next fiscal year, which would be like fire alarms, interior lighting, and some Wi-Fi cabling, if possible. As I said, as part of the FY24 budget, we initially approved $325,000 for security and safety at the facility. And in the memo that was provided in the packet, we outlined each of those, and I'll go through them just very briefly, Mr. Chairman. So we have completed the security cameras. So that was an actual cost of $11,258.63. And so that is done. And then next, we have, at this point, been able to estimate that the electrical upgrades to the amphitheater area is going to be about $210,000. Interior, exterior door security upgrades, $28,000. Exterior lighting, about $17,000. Removal, replacement of the front steps, $45,000. And then the fire alarms, expansion. So we have fire alarm systems in the building now, but with the new additions that we've created, those integrated alarm systems not been extended throughout the entire building. There are the mandatory equipment that we do have in there, but to expand that system was going to be about 12,000. Interior lighting enhancements and upgrades, and then the Wi-Fi cabling to external points for different uses in the amphitheater area. So that total came out to about $353,758, obviously above what we had appropriated this year. So we decided to kind of prioritize and work through that prioritization list and make those upgrades. So where we are with the electrical upgrades is that what's currently out there is not efficient in its usage of three-phase transformer from which it draws power, and its circuit setup pulls too much energy from the wiring to handle. The wiring is buried directly in the ground, so it's not in any encased conduit, anything shielded or protected from weather elements or shovels. And so what we're looking to do is to change that and actually add conduit throughout the entire system and rewire the entire system out there. The conduit must be installed to allow for easy wiring repairs, installation of hotspots, rerouting of circuitry, also to place additional lights along the pathway to create, to kind of extend what we have out there and improve the safety of people who are walking through there in the evenings and at night for various events. And we also want to increase the number of 50 amp outlets that will help us with our Sui Festival, but also additional festivals. And as we continue to add more things, maybe even a Christmas market or others, it'll allow us to have larger power draws throughout that area. The amphitheater area lighting enhancement, what we're looking to do there is add more pedestrian lighting paths. And I already mentioned that, along with bollards along the sidewalks. Removal and replacement of front steps. We're gonna get more into that. We actually did tee that up as an action item for the committee this time. And the reason why is that is a physical alteration of the facility, and that one we felt more comfortable at least having the committee and then council weigh in on it, make sure we were in the right direction on that. And we got a quote from Triangle Construction Company for $42,000 for that. Exterior lighting enhancements. We want to add additional lighting to the parking lot and to the kind of the perimeter where you walk up to the building, so that way people can get in and out of the building at night safely. Interior door security upgrades. What we're looking to do there is the interior doors are operated on a simple hinge system, utilize a deadbolt lock mechanism for doors. Many of the locks are residential grade, so we want to upgrade those. New doors will be installed that include numeric key fob or fob keypads and force close hinges. City staff can monitor whether a door has been left unlocked via a server-based security system and remotely lock doors via secure server or security server. Most of the exterior doors are secured via strike surface mount, which is tied to the security server that automatically secures the door, the patio door, northwest door of the patio, and the lobby doors need to be integrated into that same security mainframe, as does the side panel doors. So we got a quote for that. And I already mentioned the fire alarm expansion, interior lighting enhancement upgrades, just doing some conversions over to add some more LED light base. And then if their funding allows, the idea is to extend some Wi-Fi cabling in order to have Wi-Fi hotspots throughout the amphitheater area, which will help with merchants and other activities that we do in that area for different events. And so staff's moving forward at this point with that plan. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about that, happy to run through that. But we'll be bidding out those elements per our procurement process and moving forward with each of those elements and getting as much done off that list as possible with the amount appropriated.
This is a report that does not need action, but does anybody have any questions for the administrator? All right, then we're going to go ahead and move on down the road. And that's going to go ahead and you already teed this up, Mr. Duncan, with the front step replacement.
Yes, sir. So front steps. So as you will see in your packet, so the front steps that face East Butler are original or, near original to the building. And so they were definitely built to at a different time, different code, if there was one. And so they are beginning to, that concrete is failing at certain points and it's creating trip hazards and slip hazards for folks. And so as part of the security and safety improvements, the idea is to modify the existing stairs. In talking with potential contractors, it was realized that the slope and angle and height of those steps aren't ADA or aren't really compliant with modern standards. And so in the packet, there is a drawing to re-envision the stairwell or the stairs there to more of a sweeping, a slightly wider stairs, and because you need to lengthen the angle of the stairs, the rise and run, in order to comply with more modern rise and run requirements. And so the idea is to demolish that existing top part and structure and construct it with concrete in a more sweeping and wider fashion, which we would still have handrails on this, and we would actually add some lights, exterior lights there, as well as you can see from the picture that has the front of it on there. And then more of the dimensional project or dimensions are in the next page after that. And so what we're looking there for is if the committee's agreeing with that idea, is to move that to full council for discussion and approval in order to improve the safety and security of the front entrance.
So you're looking for a motion to forward this to full council in the amount of $42,000 with the award going to Triangle Construction and staff being able to approve the general design of the new entrance?
No, sir, this would just be for the general design. So,
General design.
yep, no, we would still need to go through our procurement process for that. This is just, is staff on the right page? Are we moving in the right direction for a new entrance walkway? Because it's changing the character of the building. It's just on the design tonight, sir.
Okay, so the 42,000 that you mentioned is strictly as an FYI, that's probably what it's going to cost.
Correct.
And that money is available in the FY25 budget.
Yes, in the FY24 budget, yes, sir. And so it's not the money piece tonight. It's just that if we move forward to redesign and improve these steps, this is what it will look like, is committee and council accepting that.
Okay.
We're good to go.
With all that being said, what's the pleasure of committee?
Not sure how to word this, but as stated, maybe that's the way to put that, a motion to move to full council as stated.
Maybe recommended to approve the design of a new stair system for the cultural center.
As stated. It's
So the motion on the floor is what he said.
what he said. I'm sorry.
Is there a
I'm
second?
confused.
So I second what he said.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And that is forwarded to full council. And that brings us to piece number 2, JR.
Yes, sir. So thank you, sir. So this is the culmination. We are now on to the Leadership Golden Strips mural. This is the final approval. Where we are at this point is, as you may recall, we had previously talked about the addition of a mural on the Cultural Center building in the rear facing the amphitheater area. Back earlier this year, we first initially met with the design team and provided input. They took that, they drafted up what they thought they heard from that discussion. We then brought that rendering to council for revealing. Council gave some initial feedback and some other as well. Then, and before that also, the council had already committed to approve of a mural in concept and funding to support the initiative out of the FY24 budget. And then now we have their kind of the last feedback we'd received. The artist went back to the drawing board and made some changes, and now they're presenting the kind of the final draft of that mural. The mural is in the packet, that image there, and so it would go in if you're looking between the two doors, there's 3 panels, 2 triangle, or excuse me, triangle. I need to go back to elementary school. two squares and a skinny rectangle. This would go into the second right side of two squares, so the actual middle panel there. And the idea is kind of based off of a sticker book, where when you come to the city of Mauldin, we have different things like Gateway Station, or excuse me, Gateway Station, Bridgeway Station. We have Duke's Mayonnaise, of course, our cultural center, and some other things that are very indicative of the city of Mauldin. And so this would be for the final design to accept and promote to council that design for the mural. And again, just to kind of refresh this for anyone new, that the mural is a vinyl based. So once it goes up, it can be removed without and replaced without actually taking a larger initiative of repainting or anything. And these are actually our old windows that we've covered up in order to create a better theater system on the inside of the building.
Any questions for Mr. Duncan? All right, with no questions, what's the pleasure of the committee? All right, we have a motion to forward to full council with a recommendation from approval coming from Mr. Steenbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And that's forwarded to full council. Brings us to our second public comment period. Anybody online? Anybody present? And we're going to move on to committee concerns. And we have one final, oh, go ahead, Mr.
Just
Crowley.
Real quick, I'd like to apologize to our new member for not speaking eloquently earlier and setting a good example for his first time. So on that, I apologize.
I think you simplified the motion.
I'm the man of simplicity. I appreciate it.
Additional committee concerns. All right, then we have one final piece of business for the committee.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:21.
Call to order Public Works Committee meeting for January 2nd. It is what time? 7:22. I have with me Mr. Reynolds, Ms. King, as well as our city administrator, Ms. Cindy Miller, as well as Mr. Freeman, our director. All right. Any public comment? We'll start there. Please come up to this podium, state your name and address.
MJCH 309 Miller Road, Mauldin, South Carolina. My public comment was submitted previously in writing on December 18th. Cindy Miller. This public comment was prior submitted on August 27th, 2023. It did not make it into the meeting minutes, which is another contentious point that I'll touch on briefly after I go over the points of the public comment. Mr. Crayling, the committee was asked to become familiar with the below bulk trash service public information concern. Kindly advise plan to disclose bulk trash service on city website to me, Mike MJC, by 9/13/23. I never heard anything on that. Number two, this public comment request applies to all properties eligible for Mauldin Department of Public Works bulk trash service. This is not a variance request. And this is not about any one property. Bulk is an existing service, not about separate yard debris, sometimes called brush and branch, or general bag trash placed in green rollout 95-gallon cans or carts. My request to the Department of Public Works and this committee is to post on the Mauldin City website all information pertinent to city bulk trash removal, including but not limited to items that will be removed, such as examples, household large items, appliances, furniture, mattress, large box, TV, vacuum, water heater, etc. To also stipulate bulk items Department of Public Works will not remove, pickup schedule or frequency for Department of Public Works removal is to be included in this website posting. Location on private property where bulk trash is to be placed or Department of Public Works pickup is to be stipulated. Eligible private property types for bulk trash removal by Department of Public Works are to be listed. Who may place bulk items for removal from private property and applicable ordinances to be cited. There's been issues in the past as to who could have bulk service. And I don't want to be bothered going through that right now. I'm be perfectly honest with you, with all due respect, I'm irritated by having to be here tonight. And I'm going to touch on that. I was told in good faith by Cindy Miller, who's been extremely helpful over the years, and whose efforts I greatly appreciate on many topics. She's just a wonderful center of information. And my proactive due diligence approach before starting any activity, just find out what the rules and the process are, which I did in September of 2022. At that time, I was told that I could submit my public comment in writing, and there was no need to attend for that public comment to then appear in the meeting minutes. And that has in fact happened in the past. I ran into a problem more recently. We've got a controversy here. I don't know what's correct, but I don't like what I'm being told. I was indicated to me that in order to have public comment included in the meeting minutes, you must attend the meeting either in person or electronically. That's in conflict to the precedent set in the past and what I was told in good faith by Cindy Miller. I then asked on December 19th, 2023 at 8:51 a.m. Mr. Seth Duncan to cite any requirement either in the standing committee rules, ordinance, or any other legal document signed by a city official that requires in-person attendance or electronic attendance at a committee meeting in order to have your public comment included in the meeting minutes. I did not get a reply to that. Mr. Duncan was otherwise very helpful, but he did issue, which you can interpret any way you wish, making a decision, it seems, saying in his message to me that you have to attend either in person or electronically to have your public comment included in the meeting minutes. And no citation has been put forth per my request to substantiate and back that supposed requirement. And that's why I'm irritated, okay? I'm an easy guy to get along with, but I need consistency. You have consistency and you operate in a uniform manner, I'm more than happy to, to follow it and perform the due process. We don't have consistency here. I don't expect an answer tonight. I would prefer a written response relative to two basic top-level items. First, getting the bulk items up on the website based on the criteria that I've read. And secondly, an official letter from whoever is the proper person to respond relative to the requirement to attend these meetings in order to have your public comment stated in the meeting minutes. So I'd like to get it resolved. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
For this time period, we don't discuss back and forth. We'll discuss later though. Okay. That's just our rules, Robert rules order. We don't, it's not a back and forth, unfortunately.
That's fine.
All right.
We're done.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments? With that, moving on to reading and approval of minutes. Right here,
Motion to approve as submitted?
have a motion. Do I-
Second.
Second, I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those like sign, the ayes have it. All right. Move here to reports of or communications of city officers. Mr. Fleeman.
Thank you, Mr. Kraling. Back, everybody. Um, we'll deal with that.
Thank.
Go through the first, our normal stuff first, and we'll have that.
Yeah, certainly. So the Public Works, we just got through all the double route sanitation, the chaos that is the end of the year. All the ornaments and decorations will be coming down in the next week or so. Only thing I'd like to touch on before we go into any of the items for tonight is that I want to give a kind of credit to the sewer division of Public Works. When I took over 4 years ago, REWA was going through a lot of structural changes, and they required us to, meet their new technical specifications and create a capacity management operation maintenance manual for the entire division. It was a huge undertaking. Me being the dork that I am, as part of that CMOM, you have to set goals, like for how much main you're gonna clean, how many lines you're gonna inspect, how many manholes you're gonna inspect, how much rehab you're gonna do. And like, I could have phoned it in and been like, well, this is what we're doing, so these are the goals. But like, I actually set like what I thought at the time were goals that were gonna be like, have to take a long time to meet. And in the matter of 2 years, like this, we just finished 2023. For the first time in the 3 years of this process, they have met or exceeded every single goal in that REWA capacity maintenance operation manual. And so I really attribute that to the leadership we have in the division. And it's, with the work that we're doing, it's something to be very proud of. I know it's hard to, but it is. And other than that, budget, we're right at where we need to be in every one of our divisions this time of the year. This is a great success.
Questions?
Just a comment. Just a comment to that, Mr. Lehman. I think looking at from a manager standpoint and understanding you've got a department that's doing really well. I think, for me, it's going to be great to see that we've got the right leader in place to continue to push them and continue to point them in a direction. And I think certainly continue to grow those employees under you. And sometimes they leave because you've done such a good job, but I think that's a good thing. So I appreciate that we've got the right guy in place to continue to push them and continue to grow them as employees. So I just wanted to comment on that.
I stole them from Greenville Water.
All's fair in love and
Good
well,
job.
I don't care. That actually makes me happier. You have no idea. Is anybody from Charter Cable you'd like to steal?
Nope.
That's a good question there.
Actually, don't put that in.
All right, and then so we're actually gonna do the roadway analysis here in the communications from city officers. So this is a reiteration of what we discussed last month. The county has been exploring financial options to expand the road paving program across the county due to years of underfunding and aging roadway and booming population. We discussed at length last time, and you guys came back with, we had presented a list of 10 roadways that was a combination of state and county and city roads. And you asked Seth and I to compile a list of, here's the top 10 city roads, here's the top 10 non-city roads. We've gone ahead and made that list. I've thrown it in your packet. The justification for a lot of that really has to do with, as far as city roads go, traffic volume, you know, a lot of those roads that are the cut through behind Publix, to Ashmore Bridge, those roads get a lot of traffic and they're starting to deteriorate pretty quickly. And then we have, you know, basically neighborhood roads that need to be addressed. The non-city roads is like a who's who of all the bad roads in Mauldin. If you look at it, you've driven around and you're like, oh, Mauldin's roads are bad. Every single one of them is a state road. The county has invited us, I believe it is Thursday, to basically sit down and explore this, taking it to the next step. Now, nothing's obviously made it through county council, but this is just the next step in the process. I brought the list of roadways up to you guys, just because if we go deeper into this discussion with the county, they're gonna want a priority list that's city roads, non-city roads, what do we wanna do? And so this is just an opportunity to discuss. Obviously, there's no action required. We're not looking for any action. It's just, this is where we stand. This is the next step. And as long as we're going in the right direction, we'll continue down this path.
I think my only comment would be, well, first of all, thank you for breaking out, so that we can visually see the city versus the state roads. But just to reiterate what you said, the state roads tends to be those that are traveled more. So, you know, it would not hurt my feelings off of this list to see a state road, jump a city road for priority, because that's what's needed to make our entire city look good. Just, well,
Well, I mean, in some roadways, Ashmore Bridge, Butler, 276, those make a lot of sense.
right, right.
But Holland Road, I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm going to bat. Holland Road is our top priority. You know, with Bridgeway Station, that redevelopment on that side of the city, that is our roadway. We've priced it out. It's about 3 million to resurface that. And so this is an opportunity for us to really, if we're going to be focusing on the importance of that area, bridges and Holland, our schools are there. This is my number one.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I trust you and Mr. Duncan to be able to, you know, sit with county and state leaders and recognize those number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that might look like. But ironically, just a couple of nights ago, I was talking to a neighbor who asked that very question. Who's responsible for paving the roads? I said, well, it depends on which road you're talking about. And which, you know, kind of led to where we are tonight with, and it was East Butler onto Holland and Bridges and et cetera. So, yeah, I just, our residents as a whole, they do not understand that the city of Mauldin is not responsible for every single road in our city. So once again, great job. Look forward to seeing what the next step may be to correct some of these issues.
And I just wanted to add to that, the meeting Thursday, we're hoping to get better clarity as to what the county is looking for. So don't be surprised if this pops back up in February with that greater clarity for, hey, this is what they've said. This is how we've kind of maybe reprioritized, reorganized, and are bringing that for additional consideration. And they did ask for the mayors to, the municipalities to sit on those meetings. So just FYI, the mayor will be in that meeting. They wanted the mayors and administrators. I brought in Matthew as well. I was like, he's the road king, so subject matter expert, so he needs to be a part of that discussion too.
Well, and I think another question, perhaps not on Thursday, but down the road, if the funding mechanism that the county and the county's looking at does not fall through or is not voted on favorably, which in Granville County tends not to be for the extra penny tax, what's the plan? I mean, I would just like to know if is there a plan B for funding? Again, not a Thursday question, but these are serious problems. Thank you.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Other questions on this? So, let's move on to, are you done, Mr. Fleming? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure. Look at me. All right. All
Now
right.
he is.
Any unfinished business? There is none. There is no new business.
Any additional public comment? All right, move on to committee concerns.
Real quick, not a concern, but another comment as we're entering the new year. Mr. Freeman, please, I feel like you do, but please share with your staff, every single division of your large department, how appreciated they are. I think they're they're the folks that don't see us on a regular basis, and we can't tell them face to face. So please let them know that we appreciate every department and their hard work. And you, as Michael alluded to, being the leader that sets the example. Thank you.
Second it.
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Although a little unorthodox for us, and for me, but I'd like to resolve a concern potentially for the committee, if that's okay. So under our standing committee rules, Rule 12, minutes shall be taken of all committee meetings. All committee meetings shall be audibly recorded and retained for a minimum of 3 years. The minutes shall include any action taken with respect to each matter considered by the committee. The draft minutes shall be delivered to all council members before the council meeting at which the committee's recommendations are discussed. A written record of the minutes shall be retained permanently. Now, the generally accepted understanding of minutes are one of two ways: verbatim minutes of everything that happened during the meeting, or a summary of actions and comments or things that occurred during a meeting. But it's always a reflection of what happened during the committee meeting. It has been asked to find some supporting documentation that stipulates that. It's not required by FOIA that minutes be prepared or delivered in any particular manner, and it's not a standing rule or ordinance or accepted practice to do one thing over the other. Prior to my arrival, I think there were a few times where public comments submitted in writing were included in the official minutes of the meeting. Upon learning of that, that was my decision to say, no, it didn't actually occur during the meeting. So therefore, in my mind, it should not reflect the record of the meeting. And so Mr. Sichu, who spoke previously, was advised that if he wanted to make statements on the record to the committee, that he should bring those comments to the committee either virtually or in person and make them himself. And so that was what was expressed to him. He is now asking for something in writing other than what I wrote him that stipulates that he has to do that. That's asking kind of to prove, dark matter. We know it's there, but we can't quite physically prove it. So yes, I've explained it to him that should he have comments for the committee, that if he wants to submit those comments, we will disperse them out, but they will not be a reflection of the record of the meeting if they weren't delivered during the meeting.
And for my benefit, my understanding was if somebody submitted something, they'd have to be read at the meeting by somebody, right? I mean, if somebody wants to submit the document, okay, fine, then somebody would have to read.
Right. And staff,
Right.
we're not going to have staff in a position to deliver public comments on behalf of others. So if say, we'll just use as an example, Pentel Properties wasn't able to make it tonight, but sent a representative to deliver their remarks, that would be fine. And Ms. Miller does a terrific job of, although we summarize the action items of council meetings and committee meetings, but she will verbatim almost write what the commenters comment. And so in that instance, if he were to come and just read that either virtually or in person, then we would have that captured and reflected in them. But if somebody just sends an email and says, I want, this as public comment, that's not, in my mind, we will disperse that, but it will not be a part of the record because it's not in my mind, a properly conducted public comment.
Thank you. All right, committee concerns. On that, what do I hear on adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. We are adjourned.